My girlfriend's friends laughed. Why does he dress like a broke intern? While she kept silent, I just smiled, got it, sipped my drink, and let them laugh. Seconds later, the man she'd been dying to impress walked in, looked at me, and said, "So I finally learned what happens when you try to build something real with someone who's fundamentally embarrassed by who you are. And honestly, it took a Christmas party from hell to see it clearly." I'm Kieran, 32M, and I've been with Valencia, 29F, for about 18 months, met through mutual friends. She works in social media marketing, seemed down to earth at first. What she didn't know, what I don't really tell anyone, is that I sold my AI startup 3 years ago for enough money that I'll never have to work again if I don't want to. But here's the thing. I watched money destroy my parents' marriage. Dad made it big in tech in the 90s, and suddenly every relationship became transactional. People wanted things from him, not connection with him. Mom started spending like wealth was a personality trait. By the time they divorced, I couldn't tell who actually cared about my dad versus who cared about his portfolio. So when I got my exit, I made a choice. I kept living like a regular person. 8-year-old Subaru, Capitol Hill apartment that costs $1,800 a month, clothes from thrift stores and Target. The idea was to find someone who'd love me when they thought I was just another Seattle tech guy scraping by. Valencia seemed perfect for this test. She wasn't materialistic, didn't care about fancy restaurants, was happy splitting Taco Bell tabs. For about a year, I thought I'd found someone genuine. Then her social circle started getting to her. Her friend group is intense. Thalia works in investment banking and won't shut up about her boyfriend's salary. Myra married a surgeon and treats it like a competitive sport. These women measure everything by external markers: who has their better apartment, whose boyfriend drives the nicer car, who's vacationing where, and slowly I started failing their tests. "Why don't you ever want to go anywhere nice?" Valencia asked a few months ago. "Myra and David just got back from Napa, and here we are splitting grocery costs like college students. When I suggested we could afford nice things sometimes," she said, "With what money? You work for some tiny consulting firm." I told her I did okay. That money wasn't really the issue. But she'd already made up her mind about what my life looked like from the outside. The breaking point was last week's Christmas party. Valencia's marketing agency was having this fancy thing at some upscale restaurant in Belltown. She asked me to come, but I could tell she was nervous about it. "Just try to fit in, okay?" she said in the Uber. "These people are important for my career. I should have known right then that we were done." The party was exactly what I expected. Young professionals networking aggressively, everyone discussing their year-end bonuses and vacation plans. Valencia immediately gravitated toward her friend group, and I tried to just be supportive arm candy. That's when the commentary started. "God, Valencia, when are you going to upgrade?" Thalia said, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "My boyfriend just bought me a Cartier watch for Christmas." "What did Kieran get you? A Target gift card?" Valencia laughed, actually laughed, and said, "He's sweet. But yeah, not exactly playing in the same league." I stood there holding my beer, watching my girlfriend of 18 months dismiss me as a consolation prize in front of her friends. But it got worse. Myra chimed in. "Honestly, Val, you could do so much better. There are actual successful men in this city. Why are you settling for someone with no ambition? Maybe I should find someone who can actually afford to take me places." Valencia said, getting bolder with each comment. "Someone with real goals." The worst part wasn't what they were saying about my bank account. It was watching Valencia agree with every word. This woman I'd been building a life with was basically auditioning for her friend's approval by throwing me under the bus. I was seriously considering just walking out when something happened that I definitely wasn't expecting. The restaurant got quiet near the entrance, and I looked over to see Stellan Briggs walking in with his usual entourage. Stellan's the CEO of one of Seattle's biggest tech companies, and we've been working on a partnership for my new venture. Really nice guy, but definitely operates at a different level than most people. He scanned the room for a minute, then his face lit up when he spotted me. "There's the genius I've been looking for," he called out, walking straight over to our table. "Kieran, perfect timing. Are you ready to change the world again?" The conversation at our table stopped dead. Valencia and her friends were staring like they'd never seen me before. "Hey, Stellan," I said, trying to keep it casual, just enjoying a Christmas party. "How's the family?" "Great, great. Listen, I just got off the phone with our board about the partnership. They're all in on the $200 million. Your track record speaks for itself. That AI exit was brilliant. And now this new platform. You're going to revolutionize the entire industry." I could feel Valencia's eyes boring into me, but I stayed focused on Stellan. "We should probably discuss details somewhere more private," I suggested, of course. But I had to tell you, our investors are calling you the next Elon. After selling your first company for 40 million and now this, you're going to be the story everyone talks about this year. The silence at our table was deafening. Thalia had stopped mid-sentence with her mouth literally open. Myra looked like she was having a mathematical crisis. And Valencia looked like she'd just realized she'd been making fun of someone who could buy and sell everyone at that party. Stellan talked for another few minutes about our timeline, mentioned something about Forbes wanting an interview, then headed off to schmooze with other people. The parts of the conversation and word was spreading fast about who I actually was. Valencia immediately went into damage control mode. "Oh my God, babe, why didn't you tell me?" she said, grabbing my arm. "We were just joking around. You know, I think you're amazing." Thalia and Myra suddenly wanted to know all about my work, my companies, my fascinating career trajectory. Same people who'd been suggesting Valencia dump me 10 minutes earlier were now hanging on every word. But something had shifted in me watching this whole thing play out. These people didn't suddenly respect me because I'd proven my worth. They respected my bank account. The version of me they'd been mocking hadn't changed. Only their perception of what I could do for them had changed. "I think I'm going to head home." I told Valencia quietly. "What? No, stay. Everyone wants to meet you now. That was the problem. Everyone wanted to meet me now. I've been thinking about it for 3 days." And I can't shake how quickly she turned from dismissive to possessive the second my actual value was revealed. Like I was a stock that had suddenly jumped in price. Not a human being she'd been dating for over a year. Maybe I was wrong to hide my situation. Maybe I should have been upfront from the beginning. But watching someone you care about laugh along while their friends suggest you're not good enough, that cuts deep in a way that loved me or just tolerated me until something better came along. Edit. Getting messages asking why I hide my wealth. My parents' marriage fell apart because every relationship became about what my dad could provide, not who he was. I wanted to find someone who'd choose me when they thought I was ordinary. Edit 2. To those saying I should have told her, maybe. But her reaction to thinking I was just a regular guy told me everything I needed to know about her character. Update 1 still processing everything that happened at that Christmas party. And honestly, the last few days have been more revealing than the entire past year of dating Valencia. So I left the party that night without much drama. Just told Valencia I needed some air and took an Uber home. She texted me probably 15 times between midnight and morning, ranging from confused, "Why did you leave?" to accusatory, "You lied to me about your job," to something approaching panic, "We need to talk about this." I didn't respond until the next day, needed time to think about what I'd actually witnessed. When we finally talked, it was like dating a completely different person. Suddenly, she was fascinated by my work. Wanted to know all about my companies, kept asking why I'd been so modest about my success. The woman who'd laughed when her friends called me unambitious was now gushing about my incredible achievements. "I always knew you were special," she kept saying. "I could tell you were going places." Except 3 days earlier, she'd literally suggested she should find someone with actual goals. The friend group dynamic shifted overnight, too. Thalia, who'd spent months making comments about my dead-end consulting job, suddenly wanted to grab coffee to learn more about the tech industry. Myra started inviting us to dinner parties where she could introduce me as Valencia's boyfriend, the entrepreneur. Same people, same me. But now I was worth their attention because someone else had validated my bank account. What really got to me was watching Valencia try to rewrite history. She started telling people she'd always supported my dreams and had believed in me from the beginning. When I pointed out that wasn't exactly how I remembered it, she said I was being too sensitive about some harmless teasing. That's what she called 18 months of subtle digs about my ambition, my car, my apartment, my life choices. Besides, she said, I was just trying to motivate you to reach your potential. That's when I realized she genuinely didn't understand what had happened. In her mind, mocking my lifestyle was somehow helping me. The idea that I'd been successful the entire time but chose to live modestly didn't compute for her. The breaking point came 3 days after the party. We were at lunch, and she kept talking about how we should move in together. Maybe look at condos in Belltown, start building something real now that she understood my actual situation. What's different now? I asked her. What do you mean? What's different about me now versus 3 days ago? She got flustered, started talking about trust and communication and how relationships evolve. But she couldn't answer the basic question. If she wanted to build something real with me now, why hadn't she wanted that when she thought I was just a regular guy? I've been staying at my place since then, thinking about what I actually learned from all this. The money test worked, but not how I expected. Valencia failed it, obviously. She only valued me once she knew my net worth, but so did her entire social circle. These people who'd written me off as a loser were suddenly treating me like I'd personally invented the internet. What surprised me was how much that hurt. I thought I'd prepared myself for this possibility, but watching people I'd spent months getting to know completely change their behavior based on a number in my bank account. It's dehumanizing in a way that's hard to describe. But here's the thing I didn't anticipate. A few people passed the test beautifully. Riven, a guy I met at a climbing gym, had no idea about my background until the story started spreading through Seattle tech circles. His reaction when he found out? "Dude, that's cool. Want to grab pizza after climbing?" Celestia, the manager at that restaurant, came over after Stella left to check if I was okay. "You looked pretty uncomfortable during that whole thing," she said. Rich or not, being put on the spot like that sucks. She had no reason to care about my feelings except basic human decency. Didn't know my net worth. Didn't want anything from me. Just saw someone who seemed overwhelmed and offered kindness. That's the difference I'm starting to understand. Some people treat you based on what they think you can do for them. Others just treat you like a human being worth caring about. Valencia wants to meet this week to work through our communication issues. But I don't think we have communication issues. I think we have fundamental values differences that no amount of talking is going to fix. She loved the idea of me once she knew I was wealthy, but she was embarrassed by the reality of me when she thought I was ordinary. I'm not sure that's something you come back from. Edit. People asking if I'll give her another chance since she's trying to make things right. The thing is, she's not trying to make things right with the person she thought I was. She's trying to make things right with the wealthy version of me. Edit 2. To those saying I should understand her perspective, maybe I should. But I need someone who can love me at my most ordinary, not just celebrate me at my most impressive. Final update: been getting messages asking how things worked out with Valencia and the whole Christmas party situation. So figured I'd give you guys the final chapter. Spoiler alert. Valencia and I didn't work things out. We tried for about 2 weeks after that party. She kept insisting that she'd never meant to hurt me, that her friends' opinions didn't matter, that she wanted to build a real future together. But every conversation felt like she was talking to the wealthy version of me, not the person she'd been dating for 18 months. The end came when she suggested we throw a housewarming party for my new place. Except I wasn't moving. I liked my Capitol Hill apartment, liked the neighborhood, liked keeping my life simple. But she'd already mentally rewritten our story to match her expectations of what a tech entrepreneur's girlfriend should be doing. "Don't you want people to see how successful you are?" she asked when I said I wasn't interested in upgrading. That question told me everything I needed to know. She was dating my success, not me, so I ended it. Clean break. No drama, just acknowledge that we wanted different things from life. She was hurt, confused, kept asking if we could try couples therapy. But you can't therapy your way out of fundamental incompatibility about what matters. The social fallout was interesting to watch from a distance. Turns out Valencia had been bragging to her friend group about dating a secret millionaire using my story as social currency. When we broke up, she lost that currency. Thalia and Myra went back to their subtle digs about her choices, except now they had more ammunition. I felt bad about that part. She didn't deserve to be mocked by friends, even if those friends had shown their true colors at the party. Professional life has been good. The partnership with Stellan's company launched 3 months ago, and our platform is performing better than projected. Got the Forbes interview, which was surreal but fun. More importantly, I'm building something I actually care about with people I respect. But the real win happened about 4 months ago. I volunteer at an elementary school in South Seattle, helping kids with basic computer skills. It's something I started years ago, back when I was just another programmer trying to give back. The kids don't know or care that I have money. They just know I show up every Tuesday and help them build things. That's where I met Zara. She's a 3rd-grade teacher, been working at the school for 6 years, grew up in the neighborhood, went to college on scholarships, came back to teach because she wanted to make a difference where she'd grown up. When I first started volunteering, she was the teacher who helped me figure out how to actually connect with 8-year-olds instead of just talking at them. We started grabbing coffee after volunteer sessions, talking about education and technology, and how to help kids who don't have resources at home. She knew I worked in tech, but had no idea about the money, the companies, any of it. Just knew I cared about the same thing she did 3 months ago. One of her students mentioned seeing my name in a newspaper article about Seattle entrepreneurs. Zara asked me about it later, and I told her the whole story, the startup, the exit, the choice to live modestly, the Valencia situation. Her response: "That explains why you actually understand how to build sustainable programs instead of just throwing money at problems." No shock. No sudden change in behavior. No questions about my bank account. Just acknowledgement that having resources meant I could approach volunteering differently and appreciation that I was using them thoughtfully. That's when I knew she was different. We've been together for 2 months now, and she's never asked about my financial situation. Never suggested we upgrade our date locations. Never made me feel like my worth was tied to what I could provide. When I offered to help fund a computer lab at her school, she made sure I understood exactly how the money would be used and what outcomes we were trying to achieve. She loves me for the same reasons. She loved me when she thought I was just another volunteer with a day job in tech because I show up consistently, because I listen to what kids actually need, because I treat education like it matters. The Valencia situation taught me something crucial about authenticity. I thought hiding my wealth would help me find genuine connection, and it did, but not in the way I expected. It didn't just filter out people who only cared about money. It also showed me what I was actually looking for in a partner: someone who values consistency over flash, someone who measures worth by impact, not income, someone who chooses you for your character when they think you're ordinary, not for your potential when they learn you're extraordinary. Zara has never seen my investment portfolio, and she doesn't need to. She's seen me spend 3 hours helping a kid debug a simple coding project. She's watched me research education policy because I wanted to understand the systemic issues her students face. She knows I'll show up every Tuesday whether I'm having a good week or a terrible one. That's the person she fell for, the consistent, committed version of me, not the wealthy version. Last month, her school's heating system broke right before winter. The district didn't have emergency funds, and kids were sitting in classrooms wearing coats. I quietly paid for the repairs, but structured it as an anonymous donation through a foundation so she wouldn't feel weird about it. When the principal announced they'd received emergency funding, Zara cried in the faculty meeting, not because someone had solved a problem with money, but because someone had cared enough about her students to act quickly. That night, she told me it was one of the most beautiful things she'd ever witnessed. A community coming together to take care of kids who needed help. I didn't tell her it was me, but watching her joy at seeing a problem solved. Knowing I could be part of making her world a little easier. That felt better than any business deal I've ever closed. Valencia wanted me to be someone impressive. Zara loves me for being someone reliable. The difference is everything. Edit. For those asking if I'll eventually tell Zara about paying for the heating system, probably someday. But right now, she loves the version of me that shows up for kids every week. That's the most important part. Edit 2. To anyone considering hiding significant wealth from partners, it's not about the money. It's about finding someone who chooses you for reasons that won't change when circumstances